Hey everybody, Sam here with a couple of quick announcements for MagicCon Chicago. Like we said a couple weeks ago, we are doing a prospector meetup at the convention, and that is taking place on Friday from around lunchtime until 4 p.m. or so. So we're going to be taking over a bunch of tables, probably within the command zone, and jamming games with prospectors, handing out our Pizza the Gathering food tokens, and just having a good time. We're also going to have a limited number of Howling Salt Mine logo stickers on us, so come find us to get yours. If you aren't following us on social media, definitely check out those spaces because once we grab our tables in that area and once we get all set up, we're going to be posting it on Twitter, posting it on Instagram, and of course in our Patreon Discord. So keep your eye on that on Friday around noon and track us down. Or you can also come to the thing we're doing on Saturday. We're going to be a part of a Learn to Play CDH event taking place in the Command Zone with a bunch of other CDH content creators like Scrybabies, Play to Win, Playing with Power, Comedian MTG, and Callahan from the Mind Sculptors, etc. We're all going to be kind of coming and going throughout the day, jumping in and jamming games with people. So if you're curious about CDH or you just want to jam some games with us, come check that out. It's going to be a really good time. And that's going to be taking place for the majority of Saturday. We're kicking that off in the morning, and that's going to run until, evening or so. And that's it. Thanks, everybody. We hope to see a bunch of you next week in Chicago. Okay, let's get to the episode. Play that theme music. One podcast, mining the Magic the Gathering community for salt. This is the Howling Salt Mine.
It's the Howling Salt Mine. The Howling Salt Mine.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Howling Salt Mine podcast. The podcast where we delve into those salty mines of the Magic the Gathering community, find the saltiest stories, the saltiest posts that we love, the salty confessionals that we crave, put them in our mine cart, and bring them right back up to you, our dear, sweet little prospectors at home. As always, I'm your host, Sam, and I'm joined with my two co-hosts, Mike and Tony. Say hey, guys.
What up, what up, what up?
Howdy ho.
And we will step no further into the mine without shouting out our amazing, nice patrons.
Nice.
That's right. If you're at the nice tier of our show, not only do you get 4 custom hand-drawn tokens from moi every single month.
Is that French?
Who's that?
Moi.
Was that like a big kiss? Like, moi.
Who's moi? Why should I care?
Not only do you get that, you also get a shout out at the beginning of every episode. And a really cool red name in the Discord, which is very eye-catching. And this week we have Crean Bean, Hephaestus Bolts, Prime Speaker Florian, Yef Judge, Accidental TPK, Royal Flood, and Alex Ballix. Thanks for being so nice, you guys. We really, really appreciate it.
Nice.
So I have been re-watching Seinfeld lately.
Ooh.
You guys ever watch Seinfeld?
No.
Yeah. I actually rewatched a good chunk of it.
Really? Recently?
Yeah. Well, like last year.
So it's like one of my comfort shows. And when I was growing up, this is such a funny thing in hindsight. When I was growing up, like my family, we were one of those families that would just like watch TV when we had dinner. Like we'd still sit down at the table, but we didn't like to hear each other chew. And at a certain point, we would just put on the TV. And it was like a tiny little TV across the room, but we had this like, it was always Seinfeld. Like you could watch Seinfeld on NBC, and then I think you could flip to TBS and watch an episode over there. Like they had it staggered on these two channels where you could watch like 2 different episodes.
Yeah.
So my parents were cool with us watching Seinfeld as like teenagers, but we weren't allowed to watch Simpsons. I don't know why. Like my mom had in her head that Simpsons was very crude humor. And I don't know, Bart was like a little shit and stuff like that. Maybe that had something to do with it. But now that I'm rewatching Seinfeld, it is so adult. There's so many sex jokes.
Yes.
I was like, Everybody Loves Raymond too. I feel like it was very similar. But I was watching that when I was like young, and I feel like it's just most of it goes over your head when you're a kid. But like,
Totally, man. Now that I'm watching it, I'm like, almost every episode is about sex or has some element of sex in it. Like people having sex or people like laying in bed at like no one actively humping on camera, but
wait, Sam, what's sex?
sex is when you
No.
when a man loves Great question, Tony.
Thank God this is one of your months where you're allowed to skip that
To not define
explanation.
sex. But it's just so funny to watch it in hindsight. And like it is like one of my comfort shows. And I love it. Like I still have a ton of love for it, but it's also really funny to watch a show that was like aired in the 90s because obviously some of the humor doesn't hold up and there's like some of the shit that they say and you're sort of like, ooh. But a lot of people compare Seinfeld to It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And watching Seinfeld as an adult and after, 20, 30 years that it was like syndicated on television, some of those jokes that don't hold up just kind of meld into the fact that you're watching four like absolute assholes be like jerks to people on TV, very similar to how it is in Always Sunny. But in Always Sunny, it's like intentional. And on Seinfeld, there's some of these jokes that were meant to be kind of innocent, but nowadays they're sort of like fucked up. But you're just sort of like, yeah, but Jerry Seinfeld and Elaine and George and Kramer are like narcissists and they're dickheads. So of course they would make that kind of joke. So it's just like a funny thing to go back to and like watch this old shit. And it feels closer to Always Sunny more than like any other show I've ever watched now.
Well, it's interesting because like not so long ago, Stephanie was trying to get me to watch Friends.
Boo. Sorry.
Which like
I'm just not into it.
It's one of those things where like if you grew up with it, people like fucking die hard. They're like, this is like a great show. It's so good. You go back and watch it, and it like didn't hold up at all. Like it's not even funny. Like, I feel like I was watching it, and like there's gonna be a bunch of people probably like yelling at me for this, but I'm just like it's not, folks. Like I was trying to watch it, trying to get into it, and I was just like, this is not good. But I can see how like when you grow up, there's such a nostalgia factor for any of that shit.
Oh, definitely.
It's just like what you had, what you did. It's interesting though that you watch TV at dinner because we never fucking did that. We probably should have because we mostly just argued at the dinner table. But I'm like, why the fuck didn't we just put on TV? Because you know what, we probably could have avoided some of those arguments in life. But yeah, that was just like never something we did in my household.
Well, it's funny because like it's not like we ate dinner around the TV.
It's just on over there.
Tony, I think you've been to the house that I grew up in. I don't quite remember
like one
but
time.
I think you did one time.
Yeah.
But like the setup is that there's like a kitchen and then like a dining room and they're kind of conjoined, like there used to be a wall there and it was taken out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like we're all in the dining room, but we're watching this tiny like 10-inch screen, this old CRT that was on the counter in the kitchen, which would be something you'd have on when you're like cooking.
Yeah.
So we're all like watching this teeny little TV like 40 feet away. It was just like a weird setup,
Yeah.
It's not like we're sitting down with TV dinners in front of a giant TV like The Simpsons would.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just kind of funny how that was set up. Do you guys have like comfort shows that you can just like put on in the background and like rewatch? And it's something that you can just kind of like jump in at any episode and you enjoy it.
For me, any episode of those types of things are honestly like a bunch of animes.
Hell
Even
yeah.
some recent ones like Avatar, Last
Oh,
Airbender,
dude.
I will just like pick up and watch and have like recently rewatched that. I don't know why. I really like the Castlevania series that's on Netflix. And so I've watched that way more than I ever would have expected to. But like old DBZ and stuff, Yu Yu Hakusho, there's a bunch of these things that like when I was in Saudi, which I've talked about a couple times in the past, like that literally like got me through it. Like I watched all of Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball, and Yu Yu Hakusho once or maybe two additional times when I was like out in Saudi, and it like I would have a really shitty day, and I would come back and be like, I'm just gonna sit here and watch Dragon Ball Z for a few hours, and it's almost great because there is so much of it. Like I was able to do that for like a couple of months, and it was great.
It'll get you through a long time. It also gets you through a lot of time. The One Piece.
Oh my god.
Oh man, the One Piece is real, folks. And That's a funny thing. So I've like talked about this a few times on the show and on other podcasts, but I really haven't watched a lot of One Piece because I read the entire manga and then I watched like most of the Wano arc and, you know, maybe the first like 100 episodes or something like that.
My
Mhm.
God, the first 100.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's 10% of it.
It's a huge chunk that I have not seen, you know, but because I've read it, I feel like I can just jump into any episode and be like, okay, I know exactly what's happening.
Hmm.
But I also don't feel the need to watch it, but I do want to watch the modern shit because the animation is so fucking insane, you know?
Yeah.
For
I don't
sure.
think I have any like familiar shows from my childhood. I mean, like
How many shows your parents
Friends
watched?
and Seinfeld were definitely both on. The Simpsons were on. Like those are shows I feel like I could kind of get, but like because of the whole like episodic nature of them, where they're all kind of very self-contained anyway, I feel like they're built to be watched that way pretty
Yeah,
easily.
for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the other ones of like my adult life are like Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Every once in a while, we'll go back and watch like the appropriate seasonal episode for that, you know, like watch the Halloween episode.
Yeah.
I do that with Community for sure. I hadn't thought of it from that perspective.
Man, I never got into either of those shows, but I've seen like episodes of them and really appreciated it and thought it was funny, but just like I just didn't hit them in that time in my life where I could like really sit down and crush TV hard. You know what I mean?
I watched Community with Steven when I was living with Mike. I think Mike popped in every once in a while when we had episodes on, but like I watched like all of it just like after it had been already out. Like I feel like that's my trend with TV and series generally. Like I'm watching it like years after everybody else, and I'm like, this is fucking amazing. And then people are like, yeah, like 5 years ago, where have you fucking
where
been?
were you?
I'm like, okay, I'll go fuck myself. That's fine. Cool.
Yeah. For me, Always Sunny in Philadelphia is definitely up there. Like Caroline and I have watched that front to back so many times.
Never seen it.
Oh, dude, it's so fucking.
But I do love Danny, so
shit.
I should.
Like to the point where there's like, I mean, you may not get this because you haven't seen it, but listeners will know that there's this character called Rickety Cricket. And at one point, Caroline and I just looked up every single episode that had cricket in it and watched all of those in a row. So it showed this character's like slow downfall from like a Catholic priest to like a deranged homeless man. And it's just so fucking funny, man.
Spoiler alert.
Man, sorry, spoilers.
It's on you at this point. It's
It
been
is.
out long enough.
Yeah. But that show's really great. Trailer Park Boys, like the first like 5 or 6 seasons of TPB, I'm super, super into. My wife and I quote that with each other constantly. And then I think like Parks and Rec. Parks and Rec is one that I watch the shit out of. And man, what's that one with fucking Alec Baldwin and Tina Fey?
30 Rock.
30 Rock, dude. 30 Rock used to be, I haven't watched it in a while, but that used to be like a big comfort show. Like one thing that Caroline and I will do with these comfort shows is we'll get like dice. You know, if there's 10 seasons, I'll get like a D10. And then if there's like 20 episodes a season, I'll get a D20 and we'll roll them both and we'll go to a random season, a random episode and watch it.
That's fun.
And just like let it run from there. Man, there's something about like comfort TV. It's just so great, you know?
Yeah, I mean, when it's on, you just feel good. Doesn't even have to be good. It's just like it gives you that feeling, you know?
It's like seeing like an old friend. You know what I mean, man?
Yeah. I think I feel that way about like the Honeymooners and I Love Lucy as well. Just because like those are shows that like my mom loved and like would watch. And so like as a result, when I have them on, it's just like a fond memory kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dick Van Dyke Show was a big one with my family. My parents go crazy for Dick Van Dyke Show. They watch it literally every night. That is their comfort show.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Did you guys watch Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? I feel like that's another one actually.
Like a tiny bit.
I've watched a lot of that. I've watched none of it in order, but I've watched probably all of it. I think I've watched all of it, but literally none of it in order because like it would be on like late night Nick.
Yeah.
But it would just like randomly restart and shuffle all over the place. Like, and Charmed, man, you guys are just taking me down a rabbit hole. That was my show with my best friend from home. Like, you know, I love that show.
How about some Buffy, man? You ever get down with Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
I never got down with Buffy, but Charmed, I watched all of it.
Tony, you would fucking love Buffy. If you are into Charmed at all, you would go apeshit for Buffy. It's so good. Caroline and I watched it all the time. I forgot how much I love Buffy, dude. I gotta watch
I
it
just
now.
saw a
Yeah.
light ignite in you when you start talking about
Oh,
Buffy.
it's
Gotta
so
calm down.
good, dude. It's so Buffy the Vampire Slayer is such a fucking good show. If people haven't checked it out, like fucking hit it up, dude. Screw the One Piece. Watch Buffy. Buffy is real. I'm sorry, One Piece. I didn't mean to besmirch your name. But yeah, dude, it's so fucking good, man. I love those old shows. You just like, it's just like a comfortable shoe, you know? It's like a worn out shoe that you put on. You're like, ooh, I've walked many miles in this.
But not one of the ones that has like sand in it and you got to dump out
Yeah,
the
or a
sand.
hole in it.
Sand or maybe salt in the
He knew where I
shoe.
was going, people. Hey.
Thank you for waking me up. Well, Yu Yu Hakusho for the
It
folks
is.
at
Oh, I
home.
knew it. I knew it.
Oh shit! All right, well, let's get into the salt.
But Sam, what's salt?
Tony, thank you. I appreciate that.
Hell
Thank you for
yeah.
asking me.
Hell yeah.
Salt is frustration in the game. And I'm talking about the little grains all the way to the full shakers. That's right, folks. Salt is an umbrella term, as we like to call it here around the mines. It covers everything from small frustrations in the game. You know, maybe somebody was a little dishonest with their deck power level. Maybe it's not the greatest deck, but they're still running a Rhystic Study. There's still a Mana Crypt. Still some of those signposts of a higher power deck. All the way up to the fuller shakers, which might be somebody raging, throwing a deck box across the room, whipping a Blightsteel Colossus at your face, cheating, lying, trying to smack your dad. We've heard it all here in the salt mine. And we talk about...
It's wild when we actually say some of them out
Let me just
loud.
really list it out. People be wilding out there, man. And we talk about the salt so we can learn from it and hope to be a little less salty ourselves in a future game. Well, shall we head on into the mine?
Let's delve. Let's exile some
Let's
cards from our
dredge into
graveyard.
Yeah, let's delve, folks. So this first story comes to us from Reddit, and this is a Reddit DM, folks. We're not quite doing a Reddit post yet, but stay tuned. And this one comes to us from our friend IR Defect. If you guys see IR Defect around the subreddits, give him an upvote. You know the drill. Spread that goodwill.
Do you think this is like IR defect or is it like IR defect?
Man.
You know?
Do you guys remember the cartoon I Am Weasel? That's a deep cut. That's a weird
I
one.
do remember the name. I don't remember
I don't think
the
so.
show.
It was I Am Weasel and IR Baboon. And they got into like shenanigans. It was from the same people that made Cow and Chicken. Both extremely disturbing cartoons that should not have been showed to kids. Up with Ren and Stimpy, you know?
Yeah. That one made me uncomfortable as a child.
Yeah, I like did not like to look upon that animation. It like was bad
Yeah.
for my brain.
That's how Courage felt for me. I didn't like
Oh, same.
Courage was creepy for sure.
Yeah, Courage was creepy. I still watched like every
I
episode of
watched a
Courage.
lot of it, yeah. But it always creeped me out.
There was an element of not enjoying it while I did it. It was
Yeah,
like
dude,
vacillating
same.
between like, is this good? Am I frightened? Am I gonna have nightmares?
Especially the episodes with the cat.
The cat?
There's some like cat guy. I think his name was like Mr. Katz or some shit. I don't know. But he was
Oh,
always
man.
like, it was always like fucking creepy shit when he
I
was
think the
on.
creepiest one is the one where there's that dude like wailing in the distance and he'd be like, return the slab. People are going crazy
Don't
for that. They
remember it.
fucking know
Yeah.
I
The
literally
listeners
don't
are going
remember
I
hype.
do know that one.
it. At me if you know return the slab.
it
All right, let's keep going. This story is titled Narset Causes Salt. And the story goes, this is an old story from the cons block. I had just seen Narset spoiled, and the first thing I thought of was salt-induced depression.
Oh boy.
So my friend and I were playing at an LGS, and he's playing a Super Friends deck, and he was not my target. There was a Steve going around and bragging about how his deck was much better because it had more value in it. Plus, he kept pub stomping everybody. So we invited Steve to come play with us, and he agreed, but he wouldn't shut up about how much money he'd spent on his deck.
Ugh.
So we begin the game and proceed to play land, go for many, many turns. There was a fourth player, but their involvement was not relevant. Get fucked, fourth player. So Steve was playing a red plus another color deck, some kind of commander that I can't remember, but he had an impressive board state. My friend was loading up with planeswalkers, and I just had an unchecked Narset. So each player went through their turns, lands were played, creatures were cast and died, life lost, etc. Then it came to my turn. And with a fully online Narset, I went to combat, attacking into the wide board of planeswalkers, and I revealed the top 4 cards of my library: land, rock, a planeswalker, and finally, an obliterate.
Hmm.
Needless to say, I wanted to play the obliterate and nothing else. So I did. And the typical response was, "What is that and what does it do?" So I explained it, and Steve immediately went red in the face and then yelled at me and gave my friend the game. My only response was, "Well, I guess your deck isn't all that great."
Mm.
So salty. Okay, so we got a player here who's playing Narset, who's casting Obliterate off the top. I feel like it's been a while since we've read Narset, so we should probably at least just like rip through it. You know what I mean?
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Narset plays things for free out of the top 4. That's it. That's all we need, I think. Why
Yeah.
don't we read Obliterate, though? Because that is kind of the game-defining spell here.
Yeah, attack trigger, cast free shit. Obliterate costs 6 colorless mana and 2 red. It's a sorcery. It cannot be countered. And it says destroy all artifacts, creatures, and lands. They can't be regenerated.
I mean, I feel like I kind of get the salty
Me too.
nature from like this other player, because you did just hand your friend the game. Like,
Yep.
Yeah, you did kind of king make there a little bit, IR defect.
you know, I'm not even gonna say kinda. I'm gonna say you fucking did.
Yep. Big old kingmakey guy here.
I mean, it's kind of funny, like, but like,
Yeah.
you definitely king made. So like,
Yeah.
It's definitely a situation where like the actual attitudes at the table, I think, matter a lot. Because
Yeah.
if this guy like is approaching, fun, enjoyable to play with, and you do this, it's like totally unacceptable. If he's bragging and talking purely about money and being like, lording that over people and being weird and basically just getting what's coming to him, then this is a little more like funny. But otherwise, it's kind of like, whoa, you really got him. You really did king make him successfully. His expensive deck did lose the 2v1. That's true.
Well, there was a 4th player. Let's not
Yeah,
forget.
but they didn't matter.
Yeah, I think that's like, I don't know, maybe this is like a team reverse pub stomp. Like if Steve was walking around bragging about how his deck is amazing because it's super expensive, which is what he said, and he was pub stomping people in the group,
Yeah.
and then you invite him over to set up this alley-oop reverse pub stomp. Folks, maybe it's been a while. I keep saying that, and I keep putting in the audio.
Been a while.
It's been a while.
It has been some time since we've said this, but
There we go.
we don't appreciate pub stomping, but every once in a while, I do think it's a little justified to stomp on a stomper and give them a little taste of their own medicine. Don't quote me. We don't fully condone that behavior, but if you choose to do that, I won't really hold it against you, because I think sometimes you need a little taste of your own medicine to kind of see the light in those situations. That seems to be the situation here, but like you said, Mike, if that setup wasn't there, then like, yeah, you fucking just king made and kind of pub stomped yourself.
And also, I think this is just like you've undermined your own argument a little bit. Like it's an ineffective version of stomping this player, because you stomped him by doing kind of like cheesy, obnoxious stuff that wouldn't be like fair game in a normal game. Whereas if it was just like, okay, I, took you out, then that's fine. I don't know. It's very interesting because I'm comparing this to a different story we had a couple episodes ago where a player stomped another player actively in a pod that had 2 newer players in it. Bill and Ted, I believe, were the other players in it.
Yep. They're excellent adventure.
And in that, I was like very, we were very appreciative of the player that did the stomping.
We were stoked, in fact.
Yeah, there's something about kind of handling that business on your own, a little vigilante justice style. Whereas this is like just directly setting this person you're already friends with up for a win. That's very different than just like handing it off to these other two goons that are having a fun time.
Well, this brings up an interesting question here. If I set up Tony to a board state where he can pub stomp, did I pub stomp or is Tony pub stomping?
You both colluded, and that's illegal.
Did they collude though? Like that's the thing. We don't have true collusion here because Narset is just random. You happen to attack. I mean, he was attacking the
Well,
Planeswalker
you
player.
decide to cast the Obliterate that puts you in a game losing position.
I think that's the thing is that you're putting yourself in a game losing position to
Yeah.
make another person win. But still, like I don't quite agree that there's collusion here. I think that this is like, you know, Narset, even though it's extremely salty, even though it's very powerful to cast things for free, it is a little bit random. Like I think I've seen more Narsets with than succeed on casting like an extra turn or a big removal spell or something like that.
It is, but I feel like there's also an awkwardness to like when that resolves. Because I feel like the Planeswalker player probably, I don't know, maybe this is just how I would feel, but like if Sam, you were the Narset player and I was the Planeswalker player, I wouldn't like feel good about it. I'd be like, well, now, okay, yeah, I'm gonna win. Like, I'm the only one with anything useful out, and like you did it, like cool. Like we're stomping the dude, but it's like I think Mike's hit it like the nail on the head there, where it's like you're not doing it. You gotta like execute that on your own, not like just toss it over to somebody else and be like, okay, go win now, cool. It's like too chaotic and it like takes the fun out of it, you know?
Yeah. It's like someone being like, ha, I have an unbreakable defense. And you're like, oh yeah, well, I have an unbreakable spear. And then you wave your hand in front of their face and your friend stabs them in the back. It's like it's like, yeah, you didn't prove anything about who's got the stronger thing though.
Yeah.
So one question I have for you guys is like, have you ever played against someone who's like braggadocious in a way like this, who's walking around being like, my deck is hot shit. I spent a shit ton of money on my deck. I'm here to pub stomp. I'm crushing everybody.
Yeah.
You mean other than you, Sam, or?
Okay, calm down, Mr. Bling Borderless.
Hey, but my decks aren't good. They're just borderless.
But man, they look good when they're losing.
They look good when they're losing, baby. Like, you know it.
But like, I've never really encountered a person like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think I have either. I can't really think of a time, but I don't know if that's because I'm blinded by the bling. So when I see bling, I'm just like, ooh, or
you're like oh, another cool person.
Yeah, I feel like I've played against people that have this sentiment, maybe not like super braggadocious directly about like the dollar value of the deck,
yeah,
but like very kind of up in your face about the fact that they've researched a lot, put a lot of time into it, know that this is the best, know that this is the best thing in the meta. I feel like people are usually a little bit more braggy about the power level, and we see that more in stories too that get written in. So for it to be about money specifically is really pretty gross because it creates a very gatekeepy atmosphere. If someone's walking into that store and they're like, I've got $20 and I see that there's like some packs I can buy in a cool looking game, like that might be fun. And then there's, you know, Mr. Moneybags over here being like, yeah, I spent $3,000 on this 100-card deck. You're going to get stomped into the ground. It's like, well, there, you've kind of forced new people or even maybe more enfranchised people that just don't have that kind of like cash lying around to feel like they're not welcome in the game.
Yeah, I agree.
So stomp that
I think
player.
that's whack.
I think it's fair to stomp them.
So what do we think about the overall salt rating here then?
This one's hard for me, man, because I don't like people bragging. I don't like people pub stomping, but also low key, I fucking hate Super Friends decks and Narset decks, man.
And king making.
And king making.
And I don't like obliterate. Like it's just so much
There's
salt.
a lot of tough
you know?
parts.
There's so much salt that I do not appreciate here. I mean, I'm glad you showed this pub stomper what's what, but at the same time, like, man, Narset with Obliterate is probably also pub stomping some innocent players that day. Like take that out of your deck. And Planeswalker decks rarely pub stomp, but boy howdy are they fucking boring to watch. Like you flip all the little dice up on your Planeswalkers and try to remember which ones you activated and which ones you didn't. I'm like, it's like mind numbing for me, man. So this is a tough one. I abstain.
Whoa.
I'm fucking compromised.
Well, then Tony and I better be exact in agreement so that there's no tie.
It's like such a delicate balance to watch. And I think kind of Mike touched on it. It's about the mood, the ambiance, the setting, like all that matters and is like taken into account here.
How much would you say it matters?
It matters a
great deal.
It matters a great deal.
Yeah, because I think in a vacuum, all of these decks suck.
Yeah.
Like, right? Like they're all shitty.
Straight up. Including the fourth player who should just get fucked.
Yeah, fourth player is on a fucking I'm sure they were on a toxic Eldrazi, like, sneak attack deck.
I
like,
just assumed it was a Toxtrol deck, but they never got blue mana because fuck blue.
But yeah, like it is hard. It is hard. This one is weird. I mean, based on the story, Steve being so braggy about the price, how icky that is,
Oh, wait, actually, sorry. You abstained, so it doesn't matter.
I retract my abstination.
Is that a word?
You're no longer abstinent.
Yeah, what's the opposite of abstaining? I'm fucking with this one, actually. I take it back. I'm fucking. But yeah, like with Steve coming around being a braggart.
Yeah, braggadocious braggart.
Being a braggart and just talking about like
it's like Boggart. Is he a Boggart?
Yeah, he's a fucking Bogart, dude. He's Humphrey Braggart. And talking about how like gross the price of your deck is just like stinky behavior, and I can't vibe with that. So I do appreciate Steve got stomped, but at the same time, IR defect. Respect you. Love that you listen to the podcast. Take that Narset deck, throw it right in the trash.
People should have to like drag the price of your deck out of you, particularly if it's good. I feel like the only time that I'm excited about the price of a deck is if it's a budget list and I'm like, I'm doing this degenerate shit with $40.
If I'm playing my Gyruda list, you will hear me say $40 hundreds of times. Like I am so braggy that it's $40, But if you're like, this is $4,000, I'm just like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, then you better win.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like good job, dude. You spent a lot of money. That's great. Good for you.
Should we get on to another one?
Yeah, let's do it. So this next post comes to us from our buddy Rothbox. What's up, homie? Because this is a patron post, boys.
Oh, baby.
Hell yeah.
And this one is titled, There's Always That One Guy.
Isn't it true?
And it goes, I feel like every group has that one person where you are warned about them, but they can't possibly be as bad as everyone says, right? I was at a friend's house and two of my friends were testing Modern. So it left my friend Noah and I, and this person, let's call them X. We can come up with a better name, guys. Who are we going to call this person?
Jimmy Buffett?
DMX?
Jimmy Buffett or DMX, both besmirching people who passed away recently. Let me pick
Twitter. Call him Twitter instead of X.
How about Elon Musk?
There we go. Kyle
Musk?
Musk's kid. Yeah.
Oh, is that the name? Is that how you pronounce that?
A child named Kyle?
Yeah.
Kyle?
That ridiculous
like string of
characters. Yes.
Oh God.
That's Kyle.
All right. Let's call him Kyle Musk. So we shuffle up for a high power 3-player game. I'm on Elsha top, a suboptimal build with no real fast mana, but still powerful. And Kyle Musk was on Kess control. Noah played something, but he can get fucked, third player. Hey,
man, not even making it to the fourth player.
Yeah. 2 in 1 episode, man. I get out 3 fairy earlier. The third Teferi. What's that one? Teferi Time Raveler.
Yep.
Teferi Time Raveler, if people don't know what 3 fairy stands for. And I am doing all I can to protect it because it's really stopping the Kess player from going crazy. This is when I start to notice that Kyle Musk starts to play really aggressively. If I announce a trigger late or out of order, he snips about how I missed the trigger. So I start trying to play tighter because clearly this isn't a friendly game. Hold on, pause. It's a 3-player game, Kyle. Like there are no competitive 3-player games. It does not exist. It's a 3-player. All right, I'm getting ahead of myself. Some turns later of us countering and shutting down each other's boards, I have Elsha out and I top deck Ugin the Ineffable, and my sensei's divining top is in hand. I can now go infinite and win the game by drawing my entire deck and playing all of the talismans and signets for free, and then cast Jace, Wielder of Mysteries, to win the game. I tell the table this, and he says, okay, draw every card one at a time because I could have a response. Is this you, Tony?
Fuck you.
I look down, and he has a mountain untapped and a Mystic Remora that I can't pay for. I tell him that he only has a mountain untapped and that I still have Teferi out. He tells me that I have to because we could have a response. So I draw the cards one at a time for my entire deck. I'm super flustered at this point because I'm trying to think, have I misplayed this? And he's still speaking in a very aggressive tone. I finally draw the last card in my deck, play Jace, and uptick Jace to win. He spends the next few minutes complaining that the answer was in the bottom few cards of his deck, or he would have won. He says that he has Odawara in hand and just needs to draw the Simian Spirit Guide to channel it. I tell him he has no blue mana open, so he couldn't have. Then he just gets up, packing his stuff and saying, "You think you're such a good player? You don't even know your own triggers." I've played multiple GPs and comp level events, and I don't think I've genuinely felt more flustered playing a player before. My two friends playing Modern even looked over and asked what the hell he was so upset about. We decided to wrap up games there, and I left. But we have not invited that player back to join us since. Thanks, guys, for everything. Love you all. Shout out to the Yo-Ho homies, and we'll get Tony one day. Peace!
This is real.
And Rothbox, Tony is much closer than you think. He has inquired about the One Piece TCG. It is happening.
Yeah, it's like at Chicago. If you don't teach me how to play, then like I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, it's
Then
like this. That is your chance.
Then it's our error at
Yeah,
that point.
then it's on us. Holy shit, dude. This rubs me the wrong way so much, man.
So first, I have never asked you to go card by card if I didn't have an answer.
I know.
If I didn't have
That's the
teasing
thing.
you.
I've done that too.
And like that's what's so fucked about this.
Yeah,
Like,
that's so fucking stupid. Like, you can't even channel the Odawara. We joke about this in our pod all the time. If you've caught jokes about us saying simian butterfly on the show, that is like the fake white spirit guide card that Tony invented.
and by us, I was gonna say it's B. Like
Yeah,
I
it's
am always
Tony.
being like players to be a butterfly.
I don't know why
to
he
get
calls it
1/1.
simian butterfly and not butterfly spirit guide. This is
Because
also a point of contention in the group.
it's because Elvish Mystic kind of has like fairy wings too, or not Elvish Mystic.
Elvish Spirit Guide.
Elvish Spirit Guide. Yeah,
It's
kind of
their
has the fairy
spirit guides.
wings.
The spirit guides, everybody. But like, there's no blue spirit guide. So I just don't know what is even happening here, man.
No, but it's a Simian Horse Fish. And when you exile that from your hand, you get 1 blue mana. And then so he just needed to draw it, but it was in the bottom of his deck, so he thought he had it.
He
But
just had a
didn't.
custom Simian Horsefish in his deck.
Can we get Simian Horsefish in Alan's cube?
Oh man, I'm gonna text him right. I'm making a note right now. Simian Horsefish.
Hell yeah. Hell
And
yeah.
I'm gonna draw it and give it to Alan for the cube. Oh my god, that's so good. I mean, he already has Dark Blue Ritual
I
in
know.
there.
He has multiples.
Which, you know who made Dark Blue Ritual? It was Florian.
Oh,
That's
really?
awesome.
Sick.
Yeah, isn't that fucking great?
Yeah.
Get it, Florian.
Dark Blue Ritual is just a fake Dark Ritual, but it adds either blue or black mana to your mana pool. So, for folks who don't know. Dude, this is a fucked story. This makes me so mad in so many ways. And you're right, Tony. You've never forced us to go card by card. But I will say you're the king of saying like, well, can you play it out? Because you do often have responses to that kind of thing.
And usually it's like a weird like little thing of it's like I have interaction points
Yeah.
and like
You got to play to those.
so I get that piece of it all, but like Don't be a dick. Like if you don't have anything, don't fucking make us sit here for 20
Right.
minutes, have him draw card by card by card. Because guess what? Now we can't play another game. Like you're an ass.
There is a tricky part too of like sometimes you want to say, oh, I might have a response, and you maybe misevaluate that you have a response, or at the very least to the opponent, it looks like you're misevaluating that you have a response. Like,
Yep.
you know, Rothbox here is saying like, okay, I see that he can't channel an Otawara because he only has the one red, but like maybe he draws the red spirit guide and the channelable like thing that does 2 damage. There's like a
So
channelable
Kenzan or
shock, I
something?
think. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there
Like the
is.
archer,
There's an archer
You know, so like
goblin.
maybe it's that it's like you don't know perfectly what's in others people's decks. So you might have a good idea of what the available options to them are, but you can never be like 100% sure, really.
Like you can in the scenario when this happens because you're like, dude, what the fuck? Like, why did you have me do
Yeah.
this? And then he's like, you don't even know how to play your deck.
In this case, you can absolutely, but you can't tell in the moment. Is what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah,
You
yeah.
can't
No,
tell
I
until
got you.
after the game when someone says, "Well, this is what I might have gotten."
Yeah.
The thing that bugs me is like drawing one card at a time, I could have a response. It's like, sure, but we could probably shortcut that because if the only things you have are a Mystic Remora to get triggered, then like I can draw my whole deck because you're not going to gain additional value until I'm casting out those signets and things like that and casting out Jace. You know what I mean? So like
Mhm.
I think there is some like cleaner shortcutting that can be done here. And some of this truly to me just feels like kind of trying to torture the other player with their win con. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
which
Which
is no
happens
good.
sometimes. Like, and I will say sometimes is justifiable. Like sometimes you get a stacks lockout and they're like, okay, do you guys concede? And like the ultimate salty Uno reverse card is to be like, no, you actually have to win, and I'm not
Yeah.
going to
But
concede.
this is not that. This
But
is
this
like
isn't that.
drawing through your deck and executing a win line, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I understand when there's a loop and people are trying to be like, okay, well, can you like demonstrate the loop because it's like complex
Yeah.
or it's multiple steps? And like we always do that, right? We'll like go through the loop like 2 or 3 times and then we're like, okay, cool. You've established it. Now just like fucking do what you're gonna do. But it felt like this person was just being salty to be salty, and then they didn't get their simian butterfly and they fucking
Simian
lost.
Horse Fish.
dude, I don't think this person's salty. I think they're sweaty, man.
Yeah.
This is like
Mm.
exactly what people mean when they're talking about a sweaty player. Somebody who is just like overly competitive about fucking everything. Like, again, I paused the story to mention this, but this is a fucking 3-player game. Like, every 3-player game is a friendly game because no 3-player games are competitive games.
Because no 3-player games matter.
Like, that's just not how it is, you know? Like, if you're
Yep.
playing a 3-player game, you're already playing like let's fuck around kind of game, you know?
Yeah. Well, what do we think about the salt rating here on this one?
High. So high.
Hi. Yeah.
This is full shaker for me, man. To make Rothbox feel bad about themselves, feel like they've misplayed, doubt their own actions, and also to put them on edge when you're just like chilling with friends playing a 3-player game.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
Yeah.
And to even lie and be like, I could have a response. It's like, no, you fucking can't, man. I have a extremely powerful silence effect on board. Like you're playing towards like a 1% win. Like just chill, dude.
Yeah.
That bugs me so much.
We've talked too about how like the nice thing about CEDH is that we can still play it pretty casually, and that
Yeah.
like unless you're in a tournament, you can play CEDH with the exact same level of stakes as casual games, right? Which is nothing. Like there's nothing at stake except for like feeling kind of nice that you
Pride.
won a game
Yeah,
and pride,
bragging
right?
rights, I guess.
pride.
Saiyans pride. Kakarot.
Nothing's at stake.
True. I take it back. That's a big deal. You should always try your absolute hardest and get your sweatiest in your 3-player games.
Yeah, I mean, advice to Rothbox for the next game, maybe like try a little bit harder, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Be fucking better.
no.
I don't know what to tell you.
But yeah, man, incredibly high salt. I'm so pleased to hear that the epilogue of the story is that you never fucking invite that person back ever
Yeah.
again. Yeah. Like this is one of those things where after that person left, I'd turn to all my friends and be like, what the fuck, guys? Like, who invited
Shit,
this
what
clown?
was that?
I feel personally bad about myself after playing against this person. Like, this isn't what it's about. This isn't how it should be.
Yeah, for real. Well,
So dumb.
should we bring her home?
Let's
Bring her home. So this next post comes to us from Chichi Robov 7. And this is from the EDH subreddit, folks.
Ooh, baby.
If you see Chichi Robov 7 around the subreddits, give an upvote. You know the drill. Spread that. Good. Will. And the post is titled, I got yelled at and removed from a pod for alt art proxy tokens.
For alter proxy tokens?
Oh, man.
I feel like I gotta know what this is, because like, who the fuck has
that's
that
a
happen?
throwback.
So this is one that we talked about a lot in our Patreon Discord because we were all so fucking flabbergasted by it. And the post goes, hello all. As the title suggests, a few days ago, I went to an LGS that I haven't frequented often, as I usually have issues with the owner and the player base. But they're the only place within drivable distance from me that offers sealed events like Limited. So after playing rounds in Limited, I saw a few people trying to get a EDH pod started. And knowing this place, the pods are usually higher power. So this is a chance for me to play my 5-color Garth One-Eye Landfall deck that's a little bit more tuned and a little too powerful for casual places. I didn't know any of the players at the time, but I figured it would be fine. Fast forward to the game, as we shuffle up, somebody asked to read my commander. So a little about me, I'm a huge Apex Legends fanboy right now, and use the following tokens and alternate art for Garth, his copy spells, and the tokens made by the deck, as seen here. There are some images provided. I'm using the Godzilla altar style for Garth, and it sits above the physical card in the command zone. The others are just alternate art tokens like zombies, elementals, or Garth spells, so I never figured it would be an issue. However, I was wrong. As soon as they saw everything, 2 individuals in the pod started to whine, which led to a louder voice, not quite yelling, but the LGS clearly heard the 2 players' dismay, about how I wasn't using official WotC printed cards or tokens, and I was no better than using counterfeits in a sanctioned event. The owner came over and asked what's up. They explained the situation and simply asked me to swap decks or politely leave the store, which I did, as I dislike awkward situations and I was in shock. Currently trying to find another store to do limited events at, as this particular store I'm never going back to again after this. And there are a couple edits here. The first one says the pod wasn't for a league or prizes, it was just for fun. The second one just kind of explains what Garth does. So real quick, if people don't know what Garth does, Garth One-Eye is a Wooburg commander, so costs 1 of each color. It's a 5/5 legendary creature human wizard, came out in Modern Horizons 2, and he has a tap effect. Tap Garth, choose a card name that hasn't been chosen from amongst the following: Disenchant, Brain Geyser, Terror, Shivan Dragon, Regrowth, and Black Lotus. You create a copy of the card with the chosen name, and then you may cast the copy. So this person has these Godzilla style, and if people don't know what we mean when we say Godzilla style, back in Ikoria, there were these Godzilla alternate art cards that had a Godzilla character name, and then below the name in like a small subframe was the name of like the actual card. And that's been kind of like a common like reskin proxy sort of thing. Wizards has used it a couple times here and there. So looking at these proxies, are you guys seeing these?
Yeah.
They're so innocent, man. Like,
Yeah, I'm just seeing how fucking dumb it is that this is like a problem.
Yeah.
and like the Apex Legends card, so it's Rampart Amped Modder, literally says Garth One-Eye under it, and it is a piece of printer paper sleeved over a physical real copy of Garth One-Eye.
Yeah.
So like not hard to just slip out that paper and have the real version of Garth there if people are really mad about it.
People should fuck off. Like, these are mostly tokens. Like, who even has like all of those actual tokens for the thing, and who doesn't get like custom tokens that are
Exactly.
like, it's so
Yeah.
it's like part of the fun of Magic. They're trying to kill the fun of Magic.
Dude, I fucking draw custom tokens for people. like we give people tokens.
Yeah, somebody fucking ban this guy. Ban this guy for making custom tokens. Like, like they're so clear. Like that's what bothers me. Like these tokens are literally like all of the mana symbols, like the wording, everything. Like I'm looking at a shitty
so
picture
obvious.
from Reddit and I can read it from here.
Yeah.
So like you can't tell me that something isn't clear.
Yep.
Like they're just being fucking sourpusses and like
Yeah, it's so
that's
obvious.
so sad because clearly they put a lot of effort in to like put this deck together and we're like super excited for it and like do all these pieces and like you're just like yucking their yum in such a shitty way. Like because these tokens also look sick. Like I'm like, the tokens are all cool. It's like on theme. I love shit on theme.
Like this person clearly put effort into making these, and again, like from the post, is passionate about Apex Legends, wants to have this flavor, and also fucking give us 5 years and we'll have Apex Legends actual cards in Magic.
Yeah,
like, you know what I'm saying?
Like I get maybe wanting to be a bit of a purist about the game, like, or having like some frustration with your Universes Beyond stuff and things like that, and maybe just artistically not appreciating something that someone's bringing to the table. But like if it's appropriate and if it's like something someone is truly excited about, then like you're literally just standing there being like, what you like isn't cool, I don't want it here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a little excerpt to read. This comes from the Magic the Gathering tournament rules, and it says Wizards includes additional game materials in packs intended as game aids and not as traditional cards. Examples include tokens, title cards, dungeons, and art cards. These are not required for play, and players are welcome to use any representation that is clear to both players when they are needed in the game. So it's literally in the rules that this is okay.
Yeah. That just makes it even worse.
Even more
like,
annoying. Yeah.
That's just like shitty.
You know, sometimes you come across people that have these like passion project decks and want it to like look a certain way, or they're themed around like a certain character from a media property that they're stoked about. And like, you know, I've played against my fair share of like Darth Vader or like Yoda decks and stuff like that. And like, I could take it or leave it personally. But if the other person is stoked, I don't give a shit, man. The card does the same thing.
I've got a Piccolo deflecting SWAT. He's fucking smacking that special beam. Like
I got that too, dude. I got the same one.
Come on. Like let people have fun.
I got the deflecting SWAT where Batman is smacking Robin, you know? I got all the meme cards. Like I got a bunch of those, man. If I played that and someone was like, fuck you, I don't know, man. It's just such a heavy yuck on someone's yum
for something that's high quality. Like I get it if somebody's got like kind of something shitty or they've just scribbled on a piece of paper and that's in there. Like I don't like that either because it takes you out of like, you know, the literal like visual of the game you're trying to play, because you look at it and you can see that there's just like scribbled paper over there, right? Yeah. But this still like, come on, from across the table you can't even fucking see it. Like
also the idea that you would be supposed to use officially printed WotC cards or tokens for this effect. Are they trying to say that you can only play Garth if you own a Black Lotus? like right? I don't think there's a Black Lotus token.
I think there is actually. I think when this came out, there was one made for it.
So there was a Black Lotus card that was printed for another card game. It was printed for Duel Masters. There was a Black Lotus card printed for Duel Masters, and that has become a fairly expensive token proxy that people use for real Black Lotus. Fairly expensive, being like $20, but still not an official card by any means.
Yeah.
Well, these people were dumb. There was so many involved. It was like 3 people in the pod, the fucking store owner
came over, like, and they asked you to like change decks or leave. Like the thing that bugs me the most is that like the core issue here is that they have a problem with the tokens, right? Because the real commander was right behind a little slip of paper that you can just pull out of the sleeve and be like, well, the Garth is here. Garth is in the room with us right now.
Yeah.
You know, he's right
Can
here.
You just flip the tokens over and use the backside of it?
Yeah.
Do you have an issue with that?
Some people use fucking dice for their tokens, man, which is a huge pet peeve of mine. But if someone's like this D6, it's 5 1-1s. You know what I mean? Like people do that shit all the time. Like, that
This
happens
gummy bear.
constantly.
This gummy bear is a 2/2.
I'd prefer a gummy bear, man. People are using like scraps of paper to represent tokens. Like it's so stupid for you to go through this high amount of effort, create something that you're passionate about. That's the thing, like you said, Tony, that someone's passionate about and just getting their flame
yum yucked.
quenched.
Yeah. So what do you think about the salt rating here?
It's high, man.
Hi.
Yeah. It's sad high.
It is.
Like it's like I'm sad this happened to this person.
Yeah.
It's tragic.
Fuck that LGS, man. Like I'll say it. That's a
Like,
bad
actually,
call. You
yeah.
know what I mean? Like that is such a bad call.
I do like that there's a pretty high up here comment of like, how many people are actually in this LGS? Because I can't imagine people are enjoying that store.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. And like I get it. Like owning an LGS is hard and you gotta like satisfy all your people. And if people are vocal, you just want it to stop. But
Yeah.
I think that is such a bad call, and it is a real bummer.
It is. It was the
that
easy
happened.
route too. It feels like instead of being like, no, this
Yeah.
person's got like, reasonably visual stuff, like they're not cheating or doing anything crazy, like just
Yeah.
let them play their game. And if you don't like it, like that's okay. Like, but finish out this game and then just don't play with them in the future. But like they're not doing anything wrong. That's what feels the worst here, that it feels like they're like slighted almost. I'm like,
Yeah.
I feel so bad for them.
And it's
This is
not a
bullshit.
tournament. It's just a random fucking
Yeah,
pickup
just-
game
just
after a
fucking
limited
play.
event. Like the stakes are non-existent, you know?
Yeah.
If someone wants to play a really interesting creative deck, I don't know, man. It just I beat it to death, but it just fucking pisses me off.
It almost makes me wonder if they thought that it was like a fake
Commander?
card.
Yeah.
Like if they didn't think Garth was a real card or something.
Mm.
Like it does kind of read as one of those like custom Magic cards that people are making on like the custom Magic Reddit and stuff. It really does. But like
yeah.
that's an easy thing to clear up because that's the only thing that comes even close.
Yeah, because they had the real card there with them. Like it's so crazy.
Yeah.
I think OP made the right move to just bounce out of there because
Oh yeah.
I would do the same thing, man. If people were attacking me and making me feel weird, like even if I was able to argue my point and get people to settle down, I would probably still leave because that's a pretty unpleasant interaction to have.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate.
Yeah. Fuck that store.
Yep.
Anyway. Isn't that time of the week? I
Hell
think it's
yeah.
that time of the week.
You know what,
Let's
Tony?
fucking go.
It is that time of the week. Let's dip out of this. Let's move on to the next
Cleanse
thing.
ourselves
Let's cleanse
of that.
ourselves. Yeah. I'm
salty bullshit.
steeped in the salt and I need to get out of it.
Yeah. But what time of the week is it?
It's the time of the week that comes every week.
Every fucking week, baby.
It's the time of the week where we say, Mike,
Mike.
what's the salty card of the week?
The salty card of the week this week is
Salt control to major tone.
7, 6,
Salt control to major tone.
3, 2,
Read our salty tales and make Sam
Lift
sing
off.
a song. This is salt control to major tone. Your crust has made the grade. And the patrons want to know, Sam, what is salt? Now it's time to say, Mike, 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 Mike. This is major tone to salt control. I'm salting off again. And blue is a trash color every way. And the stars look very borderless today.
here I am floating in my trash can, far above the mine. Planet Earth is blue, and I think that is trash too.
Is this a fucking song?
That was Space Oddity by David Bowie,
Oh, it's so good.
as requested by Prime Speaker Florian. And of course, I had to change Major Tom to Major Tone, as in Tony.
Obviously.
I
Yeah.
almost said your last name, as in Tony, my co-host.
Tony.
And yes, that is a real song. It's a real fucking banger of a song, man.
I can't believe you don't know. I can't believe you don't know that song.
Yeah, I'm
It's a
shocked. But I mean, you said you didn't like Moana, so I guess I'm not that
Yeah.
surprised.
Banger. Major Tom to Ground Control.
Yeah. Ground control to Major Tom. I'm going to send this to you. It's a good.
Yeah,
it's a
I like
good
can't believe
fucking song.
it's Bowie too. I feel like you would be a Bowie guy,
I feel like you would be a Bowie guy.
right? That's like a thing that Tony would be, right?
Yeah, I agree. Are you not a Bowie guy, Tony?
The
I've
fuck
like,
is wrong with you?
yeah, I guess I'm not.
The next long car drive we have, fucking blasting Bowie.
We got a lot of
right
Bowie.
into you,
Getting
dude.
bowed. Gonna bow.
Gonna get bowed.
Well, like I said in the last episode, if you knew that song, Tony, you'd know how great of a parody that was.
It was good. That one was good. Well, thank you,
Fair
Sam,
enough.
for that otherworldly song.
Oh, thank you, Mike.
The salted card of the week this week is Bolus's Citadel.
Oh,
Mm.
very good. Very nice.
It is 3 and 3 black for a legendary artifact. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may play the top card of your library. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to its converted mana cost rather than pay its mana cost. Tap, sacrifice 10 non-land permanents. Each opponent loses 10 life. So, Tony, how do you feel about this card?
I feel like it's a good fucking card, baby. It's one of those kind of cards that like you just want to build a deck around. You like, I want it to be the commander.
Yeah.
I want it to be a legendary creature that's indestructible that I can just like throw out on the table and just
Yeah.
fucking go to town. Find a way to get like a bunch of rituals and no actual lands in my deck so that I can play my whole fucking deck.
Totally.
It's super powerful, but I don't really find it that broken or like salty. I guess
Mhm.
the thing that people probably argue about is the fact that it's kind of got everything on the one card, because you can also just like sack 10 permanents and deal a bunch of damage to people and like end the game in other ways than just like fucking playing half your deck.
Yeah.
For life. But I think it's cool. It's like a fun thing. I have a secret deck list that I've never shared with you guys that was kind of all
Ooh.
around this effect. And so I like it. I'm just here for it. I'm here for the Bolus Citadels of the world.
A secret deck.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was with Nashi of the Moon, Cyan Moon or whatever, which is that effect stapled to the commander, and it's mono black. But you got to like deal combat damage to someone, and then you can like pay life to cast it, whatever you rip off their deck. But really, it was just going to be like turbo out Bolus's Citadel and like hopefully do stupid shit.
Sounds fun.
But I never really put it together.
Well, Sam, how do you feel about this one?
I feel pretty similar to Tony. I mean, I really like Bolus's Citadel. I think it's a fun combo piece. It's a fun win con. It's a fun value piece. It can kind of fit all of those slots, which I really like. I also just love cards that allow me to look at the top card of my library at any time.
Yeah.
Because I feel like
Yes.
it's such an advantage to be able to like
It
plan
feels
your
so good.
turns.
It feels
It
so
feels
good.
so good, man. And sometimes you just fucking do it on an opponent's turn because you're like, whatever. I just can do this at any time, you know? I think the thing that makes me salty about it is when I play a land for turn and forget that I should not do that in case I hit something with the Citadel
Yeah.
and hit a land and need to like work my way through it.
Definitely.
So like Bolus's Citadel has high highs and low lows, which
For
can be frustrating. I never really get salty facing it. Like I think the fact that you can always whiff off of a land coming up, or if you already played one land, a second land comes up and you're like, well, I can't do anything.
Or an expel or like
You know, there's a chance that that person isn't going to hit it. when they try to go for their win, and you'll have another
Right.
chance to remove it or something like that. So it's just a cool card. I got a lot of appreciation for it.
And you have to have so much life to take crazy advantage of it if your deck is like a typical deck, like a more casual list, because you're gonna have like a bunch of 4s and 5s, and like I feel like there's a world where you don't get a shitload of value. Unless you're playing like Mike's fucking cleric deck where it's like all 1 to 2 cost creatures that he just like shits out his whole deck, and a creature comes in and he gains life. And so like, like it's definitely very easily abusable. But I guess if on average, if it's in the deck, you're probably able to abuse it.
Yeah.
But I find myself throwing it into decks, or I used to anyway, just for fun. Because I was like, if
it's a fun
if I'm
card.
running black, it's just fun to like have it down and doing the thing.
It's one of those cards you can build around, but it's also one of those cards that's just generically good. Like you get it out in a game, and you're going to cast some shit just by spending life, and that is good.
Yeah,
and you're going to fly close to the sun, and it's fun and funny when you get fucked with like a lightning bolt or something. And it kills you.
Definitely. 2 more app activations.
How do you feel about this one, Mike?
I love this card. I love Bolas' Citadel. I put it in all kinds of stuff. I love playing it with Sensei's Divining Top, which gets degenerate really quick.
Yeah,
you put the top on top, pay 1, replay it. You can basically draw cards equal to your life. Works really well with Necropotence because you can play it, then Necropotence any land away that you happen to hit. If you have ways of shuffling, you can abuse it. If you have anything else that just lets you like incrementally draw here and there to clear the lands away, it can be really good. This is one of my main win cons in my aura deck, or like main kind of value lines in my aura deck that then it lets me set up a win con. And that's exactly what Tony was saying. It's like I'm playing this and then playing as many like when a creature enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life effects. So I can like recoup all the life that I'm losing as I'm playing stuff. So I love this. I do think that the 2 things about this that are extremely salt inducing, there are not many feelings worse in the game of Magic than holding this an extra turn, because you're like, okay, I'm not going to play this the turn that I played the land that would get me up to the 6, right? Like I'm going to wait 1 extra turn so that when I play it, if I hit a land off the top, I'll be able to play that land and I'll be good. So you wait the 1 extra turn, you play it, you're like, oh, there's a land on top. I'm really glad I waited. You play your land, and then there's another land right under that. And the number of times that has happened to me feels like it feels like it's every time that I play this, and it is the worst feeling.
It's also so obvious when someone hits a land on top of a Citadel.
Because they just
they're just like,
okay.
oh, I passed turn, and you're like, cool, we know there's a land there. Like,
I've seen this induce salt when I get to the point where like this can very much be a card where you play it and then you're like, okay, guys, I'm sorry. This turn is just going to take a really long time. I'm going to have a lot that I can do. I'm going to have a lot of cards that I'm playing, and it's not like a demonstratable loop. It's not super deterministic. You're going to run out of life at some point. So like you have to, really thoughtfully go one at a time. You might want to mix in what we were talking about of like a draw here or there to clear away like a high life spell or something off the top. So it's this very like kind of chugging a long turn of a solitaire turn sometimes, but it is so fun to play with.
Yeah, it's a great card. So where does this one fall on the list there, Mike?
Well, why don't you take some guesses? Everybody get ready to write down your answers.
I already have my guess.
Oh, nice. Listener, do you? Yeah, you. Yes, I'm talking to you.
I see Susie. I see Peter. I see John.
I don't see them because it's not a video format, but I do hear you.
Well, I'm clairvoyant.
Oh, okay. Well, I hear them not writing their number. Okay, now
shut
I hear some pencils. Now I hear some pencils writing down.
Pencils down, folks.
Flip over those answers here.
So my guess is 208.
Oh, mine's 111.
Well, Sam takes it again.
Bullshit.
It is 185.
No way. So when you started reading this, I wrote 164 down. And then as you kept going, I kept bringing it down. I was like 164, 180, and then I landed at 208. So really what I'm saying is I'm great and I'm perfect and I almost had it perfectly.
My logic was I like Lord of the Rings and Bilbo's 111th birthday. He's got that like card where like you can like double your life or whatever. And like if you have like 111 life, you can activate his ability and go pull a bunch of creatures out. And I was like, I want to run this in that deck and make that deck. And so that was my logic.
So what you're telling me is that yours wasn't informed by any kind of logic. You just chose a number you liked.
Yeah. it
I
sounds
actually
like it.
just explained the logic and it was very sound.
All right.
So
Well,
I think my favorite part about the Hobbit, the book, is when Bilbo is like, I'm going to cast Bolas's Citadel, and he hits a land, and
Right.
Exactly, and then he-
curses. He's so
Yeah.
mad.
yeah.
You know, he gets
That's actually
really
what got
salty.
him to leave the house and go on the adventure.
Yeah,
Because
and
he was
he's like,
shit.
Well, you don't even know your triggers, and he fucking leaves.
yeah, just gets
Yeah.
up and leaves.
Now we're speaking the same language.
And
I
that's not
appreciate
even
it.
a real card, actually. Judge, LGS owner, is calling for the LGS owner the next level of calling for a judge. You call for a judge when there's a dispute, and you whine for the LGS owner when you have like poop in your diaper.
Yes. I think you hit it. Hit the nail on the head. It's happened. What percentage of decks is this in?
So this is in a high percentage of decks.
Yeah.
Of the 1.8 million decks that it could be in, it's in
I was gonna guess 8%.
11%.
Oh damn.
Wow, I was gonna guess 11. That's crazy.
And that's fair. I think this also does a really cool thing where it's like somewhere between $6 and $9, like depending on which store you're looking at.
Dude, there's a version of it that's for $3.50.
Oh, amazing.
A
Love
promo.
that.
An ugly promo from 2021.
I love that. It's not crazy expensive, but it's more than like your 50-cent common. It's more than your bulk rare. It's like this kind of nice thing that you might go out and get there. So I feel like it's in a really good spot in terms of like kind of deck warping. Like this might be one of the cards that you feel like you're putting in as like one of your higher budget cards at a certain point, which is cool.
So this was in the Post Malone secret layer, but that one aside, there are two versions of this art other than the Post Malone one, and they're just like two different angled views of the Citadel. Like one is straight on the Citadel and one is like slightly off
It's
of
like
that.
from under.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. Why bother at that
You're
point?
saying one's POV and one's voyeur, or
Tony.
I'm just checking.
Tony. No, I'm saying one is like straight on and one is like if you stepped over 10 feet and took another picture of the Citadel. It's like, I mean, I'm all for alt art cards, but like, why'd you make that one?
That promo one looks similar to maybe the ones from the cinematics, if that makes sense.
I guess so. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it looks a little more closely aligned with some of the cinematic camera angles. I like the just blocky straight on one though.
It's just very weird that they both
Oh yeah,
exist.
I actually really do see what you're saying now.
Yeah. It's like, why do these exist?
Like do something different, more different. Like that's
And they're drawn by different artists. Like they hired another person to just draw it from a slightly different angle. You're
And they
like,
were both in War of the Spark.
yeah, they both came out in the same set. That's really funny. I never knew that.
I mean, you're not going to make a Bull Citadel and it not be the Citadel, right?
I
Except
guess
for the
so.
Post Malone altar.
You could have it be like a big, crazy castle thing as opposed to just like a box.
Well, but it's like supposed to look like it's from Amonkhet and is now on Ravnica
Yeah, that's fair.
or something. I don't know. Lore. Anyway, that wraps it up for the Salty Card of the Week. Thanks for playing.
Well, thanks, Mike. That was a lovely salty card. And thank you to our Salt Packet Plus tier members. You know we got to shout them out at the end of every single episode. And I'm going to do so now. And they are Rothbox, Bathroom Entity, Bobo Fett, Chameleon, Clearbrook, Captain Cross, Firehawk Ash, Eebs, Joe Danson, and Vok.
the Rock.
Thank you
Hell
for your
yeah.
support, everybody.
Yeah.
Yep.
And thank you to all of the other prospectors out there in salt mine land, tuning in every single week to the Howling Salt Mine and hanging out with us, laughing, joking, raging, all the stuff we're doing. Really, really appreciate you guys tuning in every single week. We wouldn't do it without you. And if you want more Howling Salt Mine, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Howling Salt Mine. If you're looking for more Howling Salt Mine content, I was doing the math the other day, and we have over 17 hours of our Extra Salt show. This is our once a month bonus episode where we aren't doing salty stories. We're doing other things like talking about decks that we love to play, answering Q&As that we get from our patrons, and, you know, a bunch of other different things that we've done, talking about favorite cards that we have and different pieces of the color pie. And it's just a really, really good time. If you're looking for more content from us, that's a place to check it out. We also have our Stray Grain show, which is our short form show, our short form content that we do and put out on Patreon. It's all of the tangents and bits that get cut from our main episodes, but we love them and they're funny and we pass them along to the patrons. We also have a thriving Discord community. We have monthly game nights. There's a lot of fun to be had in the Discord, so go check it out. Another way to help out the show is to send us your salty stories or send us salty Reddit posts that you find. And you can send those to our website, thehowlingsaltmine.com or howlingsaltmine.com. Both of those are going to get you there. Or you can send that to our Gmail, which is thehowlingsaltmine@gmail.com. Another way you can support the show is to check out our merchandise over at our Bonfire store or any of the merchandise that we have on our website. If we don't have any merchandise on the website right now, maybe it's sleeves, maybe playmats in the future, just keep an eye out because we got some big plans for this year. Merch is coming. Another thing you can do to help out the show is to give us a 5-star review in your favorite podcast app of choice, whether that be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or whatever you got. That helps us show up in the algorithm for other people trying to find Magic the Gathering podcasts. They will stumble upon the Howling Salt Mine, listen to it, fall in love with it much like you have, and tune in every single week and just become another prospector. And we value that shit a lot. Honestly, that is how the show grows. We don't do advertisements. We don't really do anything like that other than just our own social media posts. So giving us a 5-star review really does push the show forward into people's algorithms. And, it helps the show grow. It's really one of the easiest ways you can help the show grow. Lastly, we got to shout him out every single episode. JD Burnett for gifting us this beautiful podcast art that we love. If you're ever in Asheville, North Carolina, hit him up and get a tattoo. He's a really cool guy.
10,000 subscribers or bust.
Indeed.
Pew, pew, pew.
Thanks, everybody. And stay salty. And don't forget to draw an additional card during your draw step.
It's the Howling Salt Mine. The Howling Salt Mine.
There was a girth player.
Was there?
Heyo.
Oh, there are typos in this one, man. There was a girth player, but they involvement was not relevant.
Bullshit. This is bullshit. You're bullshit. Everything's bullshit.
I have Elsha out and I top deck Udon. Oh my God, guys.
Udon.
Putin.
And I top deck
noodles.
Udon noodles. Yum. And I have a snack and it's a great
I
day.
have a tasty time.
And then it was a happy night.
Alternate art for Garth.
for Garth.
Alternate art. Maybe it's been a while. I keep saying that. And I keep
Been
putting
a
in the
while.
audio track. Maybe it's been a while since we've said this,
It's
but
been a while.
maybe it's been a while since we
It's
said
been a
this.
while.
It's been a while.